We should be live. This is the Go Central show. We celebrate all the great things about Central, why it's the greatest place on earth to live, work, and raise a family. And tonight we are joined by, of course, Gordy Rush, one of our co-hosts. And we should be live. This is the Go Central show. I guess I should. My monitor's going off there. And Ron Erickson with the Chamber. And Kristen is going to be joining us here shortly. Kristen Perrin. Ron, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Dave, for having us. And we're excited to be with you on the launch of this. Well, this is your second, but the launch of this new program. And while we're at it, congratulations on once again becoming a newspaper individual.
Yeah, congratulations, condolences, whatever. It's going to give it another run. It's something the community needs. And Ms. Griggs got in a situation where she needed to walk away. So we're going to step in and do this and see how it works out. But,
the Chamber's always enjoyed a great relationship with Central Speaks, and we're looking forward to continuing to do that. It's always been a great support for us as far as, when we need to get events out there, let people know what's going on, even when we have to maybe write an editorial to just kind of explain different programs to people. It's always been there, a great support for us. So it's vital. It's vital to us for a community. It's vital for us for a Chamber to get our information out.
Looking forward to those Chamber articles coming, and make sure you send us pictures from Saturday, please.
How about pictures, and let's not worry so much about the articles. Pictures with a tagline.
Well, how about we start with, since it's very recent, let's just start with what happened on Saturday. You want to jump into Activate and tell us about that event?
Saturday we started back in 2019. We teamed up with Kylie Arnold and Arnold Nutrition, and she was trying to do a special event focused around wellness and health in Central. And our original goal was to pull that off in 2020. And of course, we know COVID put a lid on that. And so we decided the first this year to try to bring it back again. And this is our first stab at this event and went really well. A lot of positive results. I think we had somewhere around 20, 21 different vendors out there. We had a DJ out there. And what was really awesome is several of the gyms came out and did workouts. So people got a chance to see what their workouts were like. And then at the same time, folks could come out and tour the different health facilities. We had chiropractors out there, dentist office, physical therapy, the different gyms, some fitness folks as far as fit meals and those kind of things. So it was really, and had a great day of weather. Went from 10 to 2, and it was just an awesome day. We can't complain. It was a great turnout. All the vendors were happy with what went on.
I got to tell you, the people from physical therapy were standing around waiting for those guys lifting dumbbells, handing out cards to anybody who was a first timer. Yeah,
I watched the folks from Elevate do their workout, and it made me sore just watching them. So I was tempted to go to the therapy just from watching them. But it was really a great day. It gives a chance for our businesses to get out there and for folks to recognize some of the different things that we provide in our community. There's a lot of businesses in Central that work hard to provide health and wellness for our community. And a lot of folks just don't know necessarily that they exist. So this is a great chance for them to come out, gain some exposure. And we appreciate Acadian Development allowing us to come out and use Central Square. That's twice they've done that. We'll talk more about our previous activity and the ones coming up there. And they've really been a good support allowing us to do that. So overall, it was a really great event.
Well, Kristen, we've got Kristen's visual. Kristen, do you have sound now? Kristen doesn't have sound, but Kristen you can sit there and balance out the screen anyway. See if you can work on that. But Kristen Perrin's a Chamber board member and one of our co-hosts here, and hope to have her join us.
She can drive over here to the Chamber and join me.
She could do that.
Yeah,
that's an option, Kristen.
Just a half mile away.
That's right. So, Gordy, I know you stopped out to Activate this weekend. What did you find?
Well, no, for me, we were talking about this on the phone, this weekend, preparing for this show. I didn't know about half the businesses that were out here and that were at that had booths, been out here for 10 years. And so I found it really interesting. And especially people that I'd seen in different settings, I didn't know that they owned that particular business. And so, I think those things are great. Like you said, Ron, that's your second one. Both times I brought the kids out there, they've enjoyed it, and there's always something for everyone out there.
Yeah, one of the things I think that was really great this time, specifically, we had some folks that wanted to set up some events that were directly related to the kids. And that just added an extra little special thing for them. and gave them something to do while their parents walked around and looked at all the other stuff that we had to offer.
Well, let's hit the rewind button. Let's go all back to Caba. Ron, can you fill us in on the history of the chamber?
Yeah, Central started really back in 1985 with an organization called Central Area Business Association, called CABA. And that organization primarily was just to be a group of business leaders in this area that tried to support one another and kind of give each other encouragement to continue to promote business throughout this area long before we became a city. Oh, and they formed a city back in 2005. They got the incorporation. Yeah, I think it was May 2005. Right there, June 2005, the Central went ahead and incorporated the Central Chamber of Commerce. And so CABA gave way to the Central Area Chamber. And that was 2005. So, we're currently moving on to June will be our 16th year of being in existence. So we're still in the chamber world. We're still relatively a young organization. And 2009, I came on as the CEO, originally just to kind of help with the Christmas festival. And 2 months later, they said, how about doing some long-term work for us? So 12 years later, almost 12 years, October will be 12 years, so I'm still here. And one of the other great changes we did this year is the Chamber's always kind of wanted to make sure we helped out with economic development within the city. We are an integral arm of that from the standpoint of promoting and supporting our local business community. And our motto is to serve our businesses in our community by promoting and protecting a pro-business environment. And so with that, we do things that really focus on promoting our local businesses, helping our businesses be sustainable, and continuing to move forward. And so with that, we said, well, let's see what we can do to form a foundation to maybe move forward towards providing some more stability in our city for economic development. We really think it's important that there be a strong economic development arm in the city of Central, and maybe something that's a little bit more consistent than what we've been able to produce in the past. And so what we decided to do was go back and we resurrected CABA, Central Area Business Association, and we formed it into a 501c3 foundation. The chamber itself is a 501c6, which of course limits what we can do as far as donations and grants and those kind of things. But a 501c3 begins to open up the doorway for people to donate to the organization, receive tax write-offs, and gives us the ability to go for some grants. And some of the stuff that we're going to start focusing on is, for instance, moving our scholarship program over into the economic development arm. So since that fits well within the realm of what we said the 501c3 would do. And then also eventually as we go on looking for grants that help with revitalization in our city. So that's where we are at current. Of course, let's jump backwards also to 2020.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ron, let's jump real quick. Do another mic check for Kristen.
Hello.
Oh, we have Kristen joining us.
Yay, I figured it out.
You found a 12-year-old to come help you.
No, I Googled it.
Sweet.
There you go.
Yeah, I got it.
Kristen, welcome to your first venture on the Go Central show. Just let me diverge just a little bit, Ron. Y'all were in competition last show in Florida? Last week?
Oh yeah, we were in Orlando for nationals for our CHS varsity cheer team.
Had a great time?
Yeah, it was a good time.
Good deal. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Ron. You said you wanted to venture back to 2000.
Well, if we go back to just let folks know that 2020, kind of what when you look at the community of Central, we're talking about the business community, what the chamber has tried to help with, going all the way back to 2016, of course, was the flood, and trying to help point our businesses. When we find ourselves in the midst of disasters, the main thing the chamber tries to do is become an informational source. So in 2016, we're going through the flood, pointing as many people as we could towards, the SBA assistant and the things that were there. Well, when COVID hit, it's kind of like a whole new animal for all of us. I mean, nobody knew how to quite navigate that. If we'd said, we're having a hurricane, we're having a flood, we all might have been able to jump in and figure out what to do. And it kind of hit everybody kind of off guard. I mean, suddenly everything shut down. So one of the things that was an advantage to us was that we had started, with the advice of several of our board members, a restaurant guide previously to this. I mean, I don't think there's anything that we call coincidence. A lot of times I think the dear Lord leads us when we do things sometimes more by accident than on purpose. We had just finished this restaurant guide probably a couple of weeks just before everything shut down. And that became an instant tool for our restaurants to use, because as we all know, restaurants have really had a rough time during this COVID time of staying afloat. And so we had that restaurant guide ready to go. And we sent out hundreds of emails directing people to webinars and websites where they could get their different PPP assistance, their idle loan assistance. And when we look at it overall, to some degree, COVID ended up being a great blessing in disguise for Central. Our sales tax revenues went through the roof. We had a couple of shopping campaigns as well along the way, both set records to what we've been doing in the past. Krista might be able to, especially on the Hello Local and the shop, give some information on that in just a moment. But overall, it was just we've seen sales tax go up this year. And I think what a lot of it did was people finally had to stay home. And by staying home, it made them turn to their local community. Suddenly go, oh, this exists in Central. We can do this in Central. And a lot of people started finding their activities here in Central. Our restaurants got super creative. You know, some of them packed up lunches and took them into neighborhoods. Some of the neighborhood associations were kind enough to start a special day where they published it on their Facebook page, and they went out and were able to be a part of that. And then the other advantage is a lot of our businesses here in Central are your mom and pop type service type businesses. So they were able to keep going pretty well the whole way along. And so that's been a really good thing for us. Now we're looking at some other struggles with COVID along the way, and we might get to that a little bit later, but especially finding people to work. But overall, the Chamber worked to help support our business community during this time, and we create a lot of special events. Even coming into this year, a lot of events have been created. And Krista, maybe you want to talk about the first one we did, Hello Local, last summer, and then the Christmas shopping campaign.
Yeah, last summer we did a Hello Local campaign, which was similar to the shop local campaign we do every Christmas. But we did it over the summer. Our giveaway was a Louis Vuitton purse or an iPhone. Was it a 12, Ron?
I think it was 11.
It was an 11 at that time, yeah. And that way, you know, the winner could choose which gift they wanted. But it definitely helps when we do that kind of campaign to get people to remember that there are those businesses in Central. And if they would shop them, then they have that opportunity to win, you know, giveaways or gift cards to do more shopping. And we did really, really well. I know for Southern Charm as a whole, summers are really usually pretty slow for us. But with the Hello Local campaign, and again, with what Ron said about, you know, quarantine and COVID and people just kind of staying closer to home and not necessarily wanting to venture out as much, it really did help with our sales and increase just the amount of traffic that we were having daily. It was really, like you said, it ended up being a blessing in disguise for Central. I mean, for the restaurant industry, for the retail, it really helped us tremendously. And I think that what's really good about it is that it wasn't a really short amount of time. It wasn't like a 2-week or a 4-week stint. It was months. And so, you know, we all know that the longer that you do something, you create a habit of it, you know. And so I think people had been in the habit of leaving Central to shop for so long because we would go to town. You know, there weren't a lot of things here. But now that we're growing and expanding and more businesses are you know, setting up shop here, it's going to help that. And people, you know, created that habit of just shopping in Central, and it has continued. That trend has continued to stay here even as things have began to open up. So it really was extremely helpful for us in the retail, and I'm sure, and I know the restaurants too. And I think it'll continue to be something that's great for our city.
You know, as you mentioned, we also did the Christmas campaign. You want to explain how that operated?
Yes. So Christmas campaign, we usually kick off in November. We usually do it for about 4 or 5 weeks up until Christmas. What happens is, and we did it the same way with Hello Local, and there's a card that you get from any of the places that you shop or eat. Most of them have the card, and on the card are different amounts of money around the outer edge of the card. I'm sure Ron can show you just like that. So whenever you go to a participating business, you will, let's say you spend $50, they will punch $25 off of there. Once you get the whole card filled out, or punched out, I should say, then you fill out your information and you turn it back into any of the participating businesses that are listed on the back of it. You can also turn it in even if you didn't get it fully punched. You just aren't, you won't be able to win the bigger prizes, but you still can be entered to win prizes. And we usually have giveaways for the Shop Local campaign that we do at Christmas time. We usually do 3 different cash prizes that you then get to pick the businesses you want that cash prize to go to. So let's say you win, is the biggest one 1,500, Ron?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you can divide that up. So you could do 500 at Southern Charm, 250 at Caliente, 250, you see where I'm going. You divide it up wherever you want to spend the money. And then, and again, it just encourages people to spend their money in Central and keep that sales tax dollars here so that it benefits our city and our schools.
Yeah, one of the great things about that is that you have to get gift certificates to the stores that participated in the event. So it does, it guarantees them coming back into Central. And that's all part of our campaign we started this year as well. Well, it started in 2020, which is the importance of shopping local and showing folks the sales tax advantage to shopping here within the city of Central. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but we did one, for instance, on just gasoline alone. And it was hundreds of thousands of dollars if everybody would buy their gasoline in Central, that they would actually be able to put back into the local economy. But just between these 2 events that we did, for us as a chamber, we set a record. Our Christmas shopping campaign came in at about $182,000 this year. And the highest we've ever had was 150, so that was good. And for the first time, the Hello Local campaign went out, it was about 132,000. So, or 142,000, I'm sorry. So it was 2 really great events. And when you look at it from that standpoint, that's still some really good dollars coming back into our local economy just from those little events like that. So it was highly successful. And I do want to give a kudos out to our board members that help with these various committees, because without their help, we wouldn't be able to pull all this off. We're a 2-person staff. We worked as hard as we can, but it takes a lot of help and support from our volunteers. So kudos goes out to them for helping us pull this stuff off.
Yeah, it's team effort for sure. I just want to one more time emphasize, because I don't think people realize that the sales tax money that you, when you spend money in Central and you pay the sales tax, that money goes back to the city and the schools. It is not going anywhere else. It's going to our city and our schools. So it is extremely important that we focus on trying to keep our money in our city and in our community, because that's what's going to continue to sustain us.
Well, I'll point out also that the Central does not have any property taxes for the city. So that 2.5 cents that ends up going to the city and to roads, that's the entire operating budget for the city. So there's a direct relationship between us shopping local and Central and not. So a study was done some, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago that we had about a 50% sales tax leakage, that people were spending half their money outside of Central. Right. Imagine what you could do with the doubled budget in Central.
Yeah. Give me just a second. I'm going to run the other room and grab a piece of paper that has the information on this gasoline deal. You'll find that interesting. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, we came up with a flyer that we put out at a bunch of the businesses, and we also put it out at the schools as well. That's kind of like, did you know if you spent this much money, you know, like $100 or whatever, this much of that goes to the schools, this much of that goes back to the city. Because just to try and simplify it for people, because it's kind of hard to understand and realize.
Now, this is going to be backwards, I understand, but you get the general idea. In fact, we actually went out, we have these up in all of our schools as well to encourage our teachers to shop local, because if you look at it, all right, there's the poster right there.
It's not
all backwards.
It's not backwards.
It's not backwards because you have your mirror image on, so you're good.
Well, don't ask me how I got that mirror image on, but it's on. But, you know, as it shows you here, that the school board gets 2.5%, the city gets 2%, and the supplies support for infrastructure gets 1.5. But just on the gasoline alone, and this is from an ESRI report that we got that was from 2000, I believe, in 19. That if everybody just got their gas in Central, based upon the way the ESRI report works, is they take all the credit card receipts that have been earned, that have been used that year. They can tell what zip code they purchase their supplies from. And just in the gasoline alone, it would have brought $800,000 more dollars into our community if people were able to just remember to buy their gas in Central, which is a remarkable thing. It goes back to what you said, Dave, earlier about that 50% tax leakage. I mean, you start thinking about the millions of dollars that, as we continue to expand our economy and get businesses that keep people shopping local, what advantage that can bring to us as a city.
Well, let me ask a question of Gordy. Gordy, you've done a lot of traveling, and you're not new to Central. You've been here, what, 7 or 8 years? What do you
10 years. 10 years now.
There you go. What do you see as you travel around other chambers doing as opposed to Central, and how visible is our group?
Well, yeah, I think it's certainly, I think Ron's made a lot of progress. And we're involved at Guarantee. We're tied in with Brad, and Flynn Foster, our president, is the past chair. And so, and I know they do a lot of chamber outreaches and they work well with that. But yeah, I think like what Chris was talking about, it's educating and talking about what are the needs of the community, and being able to communicate what's out there. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, I'll be the first to tell you, with my job being in Baton Rouge when I get home, and my wife being from out here, that I'm just learning of a lot of businesses out there, and especially something like in Central with the school system and the great community that you have. You have so many people moving here for that school system and this community, and it's a constant education to let people know what's going on, what are the businesses, and that goes back to why I enjoy the 2 events in the square, to get out and see for myself. And there was 21 businesses out there, and half of them I didn't know existed. So, you know, I think it's a constant challenge to continue to communicate what's in your community.
Well, we're here at Go Central. We're going to celebrate all the great things that happen. So I want to turn Kristen and Ron loose to walk us through the year and talk about all the fun things. We were the Go Central show, the Go Rouge show, which we're patterned after. Franz Borchardt had some guests on that mentioned Central and said something about a Mardi Gras ball. And Franz goes, "You have a Mardi Gras ball?" He was completely unaware. The fun stuff that happens in Central, the chamber is a partner in or creates a lot of it. So kind of walk us through the year and tell us about all the great things people should know about the city of Central and maybe don't.
Well, Kristen, you want to start off talking about the Mardi Gras ball?
Sure.
Since it's at your place, I mean.
Yeah. So every year we do a Mardi Gras ball here. It's usually in February. It tends to be the 2nd or 3rd weekend of February. It takes place at my gym, which is Central Community Athletics. We're right next door to the school board building. We do a different theme each year. So last year we did, I can't remember, what was our theme, Ron? I'm drawing a blank.
We didn't get to do one in 2020.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did do one in 2020. We didn't get to do one this year.
Your theme last year was COVID.
Yeah. So we've done 80s theme. We've done
Masquerade. It was a masquerade ball.
Last year was the masquerade ball. And we come out here. We usually have a DJ or we have live music. We have a really good time. And we always have a queen and a king that get crowned at the ball. And it's just something that the chamber does. It's a way we do table decorations and things. They give away prizes for that. But it's just another event that we do where we're able to, bring the community out, have something fun for them to do. The businesses can decorate the tables, and, it's a way for us to just kind of host something fun for the community. We also have just started doing the Shop the Square thing that y'all have been talking about. Well, we did the Activate last weekend. We did Shop the Square about a month ago. We're doing another Shop the Square event on May 22nd. And that's a lot of fun too. It's a great thing for the family to come out to, all the businesses that are involved, lots of activities for the kids. I know for this next event we're doing on May 22nd, we are going to have live music. We'll have the Honky Tonk Playboys will be there, and we will have the games for the kids. You can bring out a picnic blanket or whatever, your camp chairs, hang out, listen to music, bring the kids. We'll have a lot of food trucks. What was the latest count on the food trucks?
I think it's 6 or 8. We're aiming for 11, I believe.
Yeah, we're shooting for 11 food trucks. So there will be, lots of options there. We also do it when it gets close.
Let's pause there. So that's the 22nd from what time to what time?
It'll start at 4 o'clock It's going to be a later in the evening kind of event because of the live music. And obviously it's warm in Louisiana in May. So later in the day is going to be better for that. So we'll start at 4, the shopping and the, walking around and activities and the food trucks will all be set up by 4 o'clock. And then the music's going to start later on that evening. I want to say 7.
All at Central Square behind Canes and CVS, correct?
Yes, at the Central Square behind Canes and CVS. Correct.
Okay, so go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I want to make sure we got the word out on that.
Well, one thing that's important for that event too is we're anticipating the last event we had 75 vendors, but we didn't have a band and we didn't have as many food trucks. And we had traffic, cars parked all the way into Shoe Creek, all the way back up the drive of Shoe Creek towards Walmart. It was parked everywhere. So we're working right now with trying to get Walmart to let us use the parking lot, and First Student has donated buses. So we'll be running shuttle buses as well for this event. So people will be able to park. Either we're going to do the Walmart parking lot or the parking lot where Caliente's and those folks are. And we'll be running shuttle buses back and forth starting from 4 o'clock, probably till 10:30 in the evening, drop off and pick up so that people can park and comfortably come on over, and it'll be safe ways of getting across the street, because we're really anticipating a large group for this. When we did the last one back in March on the 22nd, I'd say it's probably easy to say we had 2,000 to 3,000 people that showed up for that event. I know the vendors, many of the vendors said it was one of the greatest events that they've had, which this all comes back. The Shop the Square event is, yes, it's a community event, but it's primarily an event that we are organizing to support and promote our business community. It's not just the central business, the chamber businesses, it's other businesses throughout the community that want to be a part of this. So we're trying to open up and do that. The Mardi Gras Ball comes under a quality of life event, and we got some more of those that come out throughout the course of the year. But the shop campaigns are something that are a direct result of us saying, hey, we've been through a tough time in 2020. What can we do to help jumpstart everything? And this is where we came up with these shop local event ideas. And it's taken off. Folks are just excited about it. We did a food truck roundup at Journey Church on I think it was the 16th of April. And it was supposed to go from 4 o'clock again to 8 o'clock, 6:30, sold out. Every one of the food trucks sold out. It was just unbelievable. It's just, of course, people in Central like to eat their food. If you have a food venue, they're there for it. So it was a really great event.
We ran out of food. Yeah. Like we had like an hour and a half left, and there was no food at any of the food trucks. That was how many people showed up for that. So there's definitely things that, our community wants events like that. So it's really, we're filling a need, I feel like, for the food trucks are getting the exposure. We also opened it up to the restaurants as well. Any of the restaurants can come and set up in addition to the food trucks. So it's a win-win for everybody, for the families out here, something for them to do, and then for the food trucks as well.
Hey, let me jump in, and I'd be interested to hear from Kristen and Ron about the portability of some of these businesses, meaning the ability to use Square. I was really surprised to see the number of people that use Venmo. And some of those are mom and pops, right? That maybe do nutrition out of their house or do some things like that. But how much of an education you get into some of the bricks and mortar people that, hey, if you're going to do this, you've got to be up to stuff technology wise, because there's a lot of transactions going over the phone. That was really cool to see.
I think that, quite honestly, most of our small vendors out here are pretty much savvy to that already. The big, as far as whether they're using Venmo or PayPal or the Square options as far as doing their transactions, most of them are pretty much on top of that. But the other thing that happens is I've got Alexis works here on staff with me here, and she does a good job as far as communicating with our vendors the various things that they need to be able to do to make this event successful. She coaches them through different ways to use their social media, encourages them to share it, and shows them if they have any questions, they can call us. She walks them through it. So we don't just open up the event. We also strive to educate them to some of the best practices that they can do to help make that event successful. But as far as the collecting money, most of them have that down pretty good by now. But yeah, it's important that they have those kind of options. And most of them, that's what they're doing. They're using either Venmo, PayPal, or the Square option.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask follow up with one other question. I've seen in Baton Rouge, I think the two hot topics in the business world, which we're running into, is staffing, labor, especially in the restaurant sector, that's open. More and more people, it's a competitive space, and people are trying to get people back to work. And then secondly, supply. A lot of industries, especially automobiles. I know we don't have a car dealership
industry
in Central, but you drive by any car dealership and there's a line full of cars, boats. They canceled the Louisiana Boat Show out of Lamar Dixon. You had dealers with 4, 5, 6 boats. So how is that? Has that been a topic, either one of those out here?
From Chris, you want to take part of that, or?
I was just going to say, I mean, there's definitely, we're having issues with staffing across the board in Central as well. I mean, the restaurants are definitely struggling to find people to work. So if you know anybody, tell them. I mean, the restaurants are hiring, that's for sure. Ron and I both went to Java Mama this morning, and they had to close their doors this morning because they don't have the staff to open the morning, this morning. They don't have the morning staff or whatever. So that's disappointing that they're struggling to find workers, because we know that there's people out there that need jobs. I think getting the word out is hard in Central. Hopefully Go Central can kind of become a place where we can have like an ability to get information out there better, because other than really Facebook, there's not a lot of, ways to kind of get the word out. So.
Yeah, and our staff, Alexis works to keep in contact with as many of these folks as she can. When they have job openings, she'll post it on Facebook and on the chamber page. But this is becoming a real issue that is facing a lot of our different businesses. You go through several of our fast food restaurants and people are saying, well, why don't they have their lobbies open yet? It's because they can't get the employees. But it trickles down to not just the restaurant industry. This is something especially our smaller service type businesses out here are facing, because as soon as someone gets a stimulus check, they decide they don't need to show up that day to go help build a house or to mow the grass or to show up to do whatever they need to do, So it's the staffing issues really become an important hurdle that we're going to see. I think it's one of the side effects of COVID that we're still dealing with. But back to your thing on the auto industry deal, I talked to one of my friends who runs a dealership, and he says he can't get used cars hardly at all anymore because dealerships are having to buy up the used cars because they're not having new cars produced. Right. Because many of the chips and stuff got bought up by Apple and some of these other organizations when they saw what was about to happen. And so there's a shortage, and they're anticipating that later on this year that'll get caught up. Thinking midsummer that may happen, but the same thing happened even in our lumber industry, which is some things that folks don't even realize. You see some prices of lumber have gone up by 200%, which also creates a problem for our guys working construction. So it's a dual sword. I mean, on one side of the sword, you got staffing issues. On the other side, you get the cost of operations have gone up tremendously.
So moving on through the year. Like I said, the chamber is a source of a lot of fun and a lot of activity in Central.
Yeah. So after we get done with the Mardi Gras Ball, of course, we continue with our monthly events. We kind of spaced that out this year to where our main luncheons are going to be about 4 times this year. And so that allows us time to do these other activities in between. Like we said, you're a staff of 2, so you got to kind of pick and choose and what your volunteers can help with and what you can get accomplished. So we're going to keep with the Shop Square activities and our monthly events, but then coming into the summer's kind of always everybody's out on vacation, running around going to ball tournaments, all that kind of stuff. So there's not a lot of point of doing stuff in June and July a whole lot, except that's when we do our Hello Local campaign to drive folks back into that. I know the city's got a July the 4th event they're planning. That'll be a great event for the city out at the Amazing Place. I don't know exactly who the band is that they're going to have out there, but that'll be on July the 4th. And then coming up
on the 3rd, isn't it?
On the 3rd. It's on Saturday.
The 3rd. Yeah, the 4th is Sunday. My bad. And then as we look forward into it, the fall, of course, is when things really begin to pick up between LSU football, Southern football, Central High football, Biddy ball, all that kind of stuff. Football is in the air everywhere. So we still get a lot going on, but it really creates a lot of buzz in the community. But coming in towards October, we do a golf event. I call that our unashamed fundraiser for the chamber, is our golf event. That's the one event we do that is primarily focused on being a fundraiser. That's the whole, and it also provides businesses a chance to network with one another and to come out and have a good time. We're always usually out of Greystone and Denham, and they always do a great job of hosting us. It's a fabulous event. It's growing every year, so we're excited about that. Last year, we almost filled up one complete flight. So for a small chamber, that's a pretty good deal. You know, a lot of people try to compare us to, you know, other chambers around, but you got to remember, other chambers are either regional or parish. We're still a city chamber, so we're doing a pretty good job of hanging our own with that. So the golf tournament takes place, and then we're really excited coming off of that. We go into the Christmas season and the holiday season. A great event is the Elf Run and Pancake Cook-Off. It's grown over the years, and last year, even with COVID, I think, Kristen, you can maybe help me. Was it over 300 runners?
I think it was over 400.
Yeah, it was a lot of runners showed up. It was hilarious. I mean, you just wouldn't expect it, and turn around. Here's Congressman Graves out running with us too, you know. And I think he won his age category, and I think his son won his age category.
Yeah, they did.
So not only do they know how to run for office, they know how to run across the ground too. So they do a good job with that. So they were out with that event, and we usually have at least 10 vendors that are out there cooking pancakes. Yeah. And it's a big contest, and they get creative with the type of pancakes that they create, and everybody gets to come and eat the pancakes for free, and they vote on their favorite pancake. And at the end, we award out prizes for not only the running categories of the Elfram, but for prizes for the people that got the most votes for their pancakes. So that's been an event that we've been doing, the Pancake Cook-Off, probably about the last 4 or 5 years, and it is growing in popularity as well. And what's great about this, it's a free community event, but once again, it's getting people to know that it's out there. And
we changed the venue, and it worked out really well. Last year we did it at the football stadium. And it was just a way easier, more condensed, the way that it ran. They started on the field, ended on the field, and it's just neat to be on the new turf field and in the stadium. It's a good feeling. And then with all the businesses setting up for the pancakes, we're going to do it a little different. You know, we learn every year different things and how to do them better. So this year will be a little different, but it'll still be a really awesome event, and tons of people come out for the free pancakes. It's a lot of fun. We also still have the fun things for the kids to do. I mean, there's just always stuff, for the families. Bring the family out, do the run, eat the pancakes, just hang out with people from your community. It's a good time. That's also when we kick off our Shop Small, our Shop Local campaign too, for the Christmas season. So that's always a time to remind people to shop local, get your Christmas gifts in Central, try and keep your money here, that kind of thing. And then we go into the lighting of the Christmas tree and the Christmas parade and all that good stuff.
Not for a shameless plug. You can comment in, and we'll try to read your comments. I have one older woman here. Oh wait, that's my wife. She wants to know, what is the oldest category in the Elf Run? She wants to participate.
I don't know that answer.
I think last year we actually had someone that was, I know, at least 65, if not 70.
Okay, so you're in the second oldest category, Mia. She's 49.
Yeah, so, but we break it down, I think it's every 10 years.
Yeah.
So, when we go back to Elf Run, one of the things that's so exciting to me about that is, especially this year, was our opportunity. The school board allowed us to go out of that field and allowed everyone to see what a marvelous job they've done to renovating that stadium, and it's that collaboration, it shows good community collaboration, the chamber working with the school system, the business community working with the school system. So it was just to me, it was just a fantastic event all the way around. And that's the kind of stuff that we're really trying to continue to focus on, is with the collaboration. Krista mentioned the tree lighting ceremony. We collaborated with the city this year on the tree lighting. We couldn't get, because of the amount of rain that they had, we actually couldn't get a large Christmas tree out of the Christmas tree lots and over to the chamber, to that lot that we used there by Geaux on Hooper and Sullivan. We just couldn't get it out there. And so we had already scheduled to do some electrical lights shows, and the city was able to come up with some dollars to help us with that event. Actually, we helped the city, I think might be the better support of that. But we had an electric Christmas tree with a wildcat on top of it. We had the crepe myrtles all decorated, and we brought out our other activities. We all had some Merry Christmas, the word Merry Christmas going, and all to electronic light show. And people just absolutely loved it. It was a great feel for the community. But then normally, and of course last year was different, but normally we get school systems to come out then and provide some entertainment for the tree lighting. So that always works out as a great community event. This year, we're probably going to expand that as well. Since we're getting such great results with the food trucks, we may try to see if there's something to do with that night, and just expand it into a great community event. And it's really picked up steam the last couple of years, and a lot of folks like the lighting. But I still have to say my favorite part about it is we're still in a city that when it comes to Christmas time, we're not afraid to put up a nativity scene. And the advantage to that is that that's on private property. It's not a public piece of property, and we're able to put up our nativity scene, and it's lit up as well. So we have a lighting of the nativity scene, and then we also have the reading of the Christmas story out of Luke, the lighting of the nativity scene, and then we also have the lighting of the Christmas tree. So it's always a great event, and that, of course, leads us into the ever famous Christmas parade, which I think this year should be the 37th annual Christmas parade in Central. And that's always a tremendous event. They line up at Zoar Baptist Church. They're kind and gracious enough to let us line up in all the parade folks, participants at that location. The police department, the state police, the sheriff's department all help us with traffic control and participating in that. And it goes from that intersection all the way down to the intersection of Lovett and Geaux. And I know that probably the last time we had the parade in 2019, it was easily estimated, folks were saying probably 4,000 people out for that event or more. So, I mean, it's people everywhere. It's just a neat thing to see. And it just creates a lot of holiday spirit within the community. And people just kind of come to look at that as a great kickoff to the Christmas season in Central. So we're really excited about it.
And always the first Saturday in December, correct?
Correct.
Let me ask you, what's new? What's coming on the horizon? I know all this stuff in Shoe Creek. Heck, I'd heard it. I actually had seen Ozzy in Atlanta in December of 2019. Hopefully that's correct. And he told me he was coming out. He eventually moved across the street. What else? What's new besides Shoe Creek? What's coming? What can we look forward to?
Of course, you know that there's that where Lit Pizza went in. That went in, and Starbucks is coming in to that same area within probably, I think, by the end of August is what I've heard on that. Over in Shoe Creek, one of the things that we are seeing is a lot of house development. The houses are coming up pretty quick, and most of those I don't think are spec. From what I'm understanding, most of those houses are pre-sold homes. So folks are actually moving in there. The apartments over there are filling up pretty quick. A great thing behind Shoe Creek that a lot of people may not even be aware of is the Claiborne of Shoe Creek, which is a assisted living facility, and they're doing just a phenomenal job as well. And they also have a memory care facility as part of their location there. So just a fabulous, really an upscale business to have in Central. So we're excited about that. As long as we're talking about that end of things, over on Geaux Road, the council just approved last Tuesday night a development that's going to go in over there. The same folks that put in a quality nursing care facility in Denham Springs are going to come over there on Geaux Road and put one on what used to be the Paul Burns property. And we're excited about that. I think it's over 100-bed unit. So that's going to be a really nice facility. And if you ever get a chance, just drive down range and look at that. They put up a really nice facility when they did that. So that's going to create some nice aesthetic appeal. Plus, it's going to create a tremendous amount of jobs, which is one of the things that I think in Central we can be really excited about with that development specifically, is that this is not a retail type business. This is a service orientated business coming into Central that will probably, I say, easily provide 100 jobs or more. I haven't heard the actual numbers on it yet, but that's an exciting development that's coming in. At the front of Shoe Creek, we also have Aldi's is going to be coming in, and Aldi's this will be the first Aldi's in this area. I think I don't know if it's the first one in Louisiana or not, but I know it's the first one in this area. So Aldi's will be coming in, and across from Aldi's on one of the other lots there at Shoot Creek, they're working on developing another strip mall type thing, but it won't be strip mall. Standalone businesses that will have operation. I think like 6 different standalone businesses surrounding a parking lot. And so that's some good things we see coming. And then of course we have some over on Hooper Road, businesses like Treads and Care just opened up.
Yeah.
And further down by our office here, the Premier Tire Company just opened up. So we're seeing a lot of those kind of things take place. The one thing that people keep asking us for, where are the restaurants? Where are the restaurants? But I have to tell them first, get out and keep the other ones so busy that somebody says, oh, we got to come out there and expand. But we also, that's some good things we see coming to the city of Central right now.
All right, Ron, it's my job to do the hard-hitting question because Dave is a nice politician, right? And so the hot question that I get is, what is going on with the old Sammy's location?
There's a lot I can't divulge about that.
Okay.
Just say right now that it is in limbo. It is tied up with not being able to be used. We actually had somebody that came in that wanted to use it, but they ran into some, let's just put it in a very kind of paperwork problems. Yeah.
Okay. You got it.
So it's at a standstill. And the same thing, like when you look at the Mike Anderson property, great piece of property, but when you look at the amount of money that was invested in that property, they're having to ask X number of dollars for that piece of property, which makes it difficult for somebody unless it's a name brand, well-recognized type restaurant comes in there, a small mom and pop type organization would have a hard time surviving there just to make the payments on it.
I hear there's a Gordy's restaurant coming to Central. Any truth to that?
Gordy's got his hands full with kids. No restaurant.
Ron or Kristen, if money were no object, if none of the barriers mattered, if you could do whatever you want to, what's the big dream? Name a big dream for what the chamber would like to see in Central.
A sports complex. I'm gonna jump on it. We need a sports complex. We need to be able to host cheerleading competitions, for me. And then volleyball tournaments. We need to be able to do indoor basketball tournaments, as well as like indoor events, somewhere where we can actually have Mardi Gras balls where we're not in my small gymnasium, just a community sports complex, like something that everybody can use and that would draw people to our city. It's great that we have the Lovett Road Park, the new park where we're able to host baseball and softball tournaments. That's already bringing in lots of business to our city. We need something bigger and more. Zachary's got a really awesome sports complex over there. It's just something that is definitely needed to drive the economy.
Well, and with the sports complex comes hotels.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me come at it from the CEO administrative side of things. I think one of the first things I'd like to see us do is to have enough dollars free that we could, first of all, establish a well-developed economic development organization in Central. One that's funded that can go ahead and do some of the things that we think are critically important. A lot of folks like to focus on the retail and those type of industries, which, of course, for our average citizen in the forums that we've been holding, that's what they talk about. They want entertainment and they want restaurants. But when we get back to it, you've got to have some businesses to help support this. So from an economic development standpoint, we need to go ahead and see ourselves develop an economic development strategy that will look at least hopefully 5 to 20 years down the road, have an organization in place that can help to keep that rolling and keep that vision going and working towards that end. And then hopefully if money were no option, we'd be able to have some site-ready developed locations. So when businesses call, we can say, hey, we've got this location ready, this location ready. Right now, when people call us in Central, the truth matters, we're only a city that's 15 years old. We don't have a lot of extra warehouse space just floating around that somebody can come in and lay a hold of. So it's going to take some creative thought processes on securing property, getting it ready. They call it pad ready. And that's some of the things I would like to see some more commercial type businesses come to Central, just that would provide jobs. Because when you talk about, especially, and I keep coming back to the restaurant industry, but one of the reasons it struggles so much in Central is the majority of our folks leave Central to go to work. And so when it comes lunchtime in Central, you can go into some of these restaurants, they're doing a fair job, but some of them you could hear the crickets, and they need to have that lunch crew. I mean, our school system has a lot of employees, but guess what? They don't go out to eat lunch. They stay right there at school. And so we don't have a large workforce overall that penetrates into the restaurant industry. And I think that if you have also the more commercial businesses that we'd have out here, if we're looking at from a smart growth standpoint, of course, the more opportunity we're going to have for retail to survive, because people who work here, live here, shop here, play here, that's the kind of thing we want to look at, and I still look at saying, I think there's a lot of agribusiness type things. We go back to the sports complex. If we could have an arena that would be available to expand the rodeo. For instance, we've got a great rodeo coming up next weekend, the 7th and the 8th.
Yeah. Weekend. Yeah.
That's this weekend. Yeah. We're already headed towards the 7th and the 8th. The 7th and the 8th will be out at the park there off of Greenville Springs Road. And it's always a great event, but we're hoping to see that grow. And it can become the kind of activity that draws a lot of economic growth as well. So I think, like Kristen said, a sports complex, if you could have an arena, if you could have an event center, you could have those kind of things. Down towards Sulphur, Louisiana, they did a rather unique deal. They brought in an arena and started having livestock shows and rodeo stuff. Next thing you know, some hotels popped up around it. Next thing after that, they have this event center that popped up around right there. I mean, it's a bustling little place. And I think the same thing can happen in Central. And I think that we just have to expand our vision, allow our eyes to look towards the positive horizon of what we can do as a city. And I think if we can start really doing some more collaborative efforts with the different organizations, when I look at the city, I see your business or your chamber community, that's a strong community. Your political governmental entity, that's a strong community. Your school, that's a strong community. Then you put the citizens, and that's a strong community. And of course, that you put your churches in the midst of that as well. If you get these all to collaborate together, we can see some great things in Central. And I think we're just at the beginning of seeing some great, awesome things happen in Central.
Yeah.
So we talked a good bit in the beginning about COVID and about the changes it brought in our sales tax, et cetera. How do you capture the new shopping habits that have honestly increased the city's revenues well over $500,000 in a year? How do we capture those things and make those temporary habits permanent? What can we do to do that?
I think part of what we're doing is this aspect of exposure. The more we expose people to the businesses that are out here is how that works. Through our social media campaigns, through even with the school system, the campaign that we did where we put the posters up and educating them to the importance of it. And I think this is where it comes down to is there has to be a consistent message that comes from all the various communities we just talked about to the people that they have influence over, saying, hey, look, here's what's so important and here's why. Because if you talk to the average person, they really don't even fully understand how that operates until you begin to explain it. One of the things I have discovered in my years of being with the chamber, I thought I knew what business was. I thought I knew what economic development was. I got a brand new education over the last 12 years. And I found out that the average citizen, at no fault of their own, just doesn't understand how the systems work. And it's our job to continually educate them. But at the same time, Dave, I think it's a twofold approach. There has to be the constant getting people exposed to our businesses, however we do that. Whether it's they see them in a Christmas parade, we have a Shop the Square event, we do another Hello Local event, we drive them into the businesses. We've done restaurant weeks as well to drive them into the restaurants. But then the other thing that comes on the other end of that is an education campaign where people begin to get the understanding, this is why this is important. I tell people all the time, our school system, I mean, our city was started because people wanted our own school system. And they keep saying the school system is the engine that drives the city. And I agree with that. But what puts the gas in that engine? It comes down to property taxes and sales tax. And all those relate to the business community. And so it's so vitally important that people understand as they're supporting their business community, they're supporting their school system, you know, and of course they're supporting their city that has to keep it all operating and going. So I really think it comes down to a collaborative effort of educate with these organizations of education and exposure.
Ron,
because our advertise
go ahead.
and advertise, you know, through the social media campaigns, getting folks to utilize newspaper, all the kind of things to expose their businesses. But it's primarily education.
Well, let's start something here tonight. You mentioned something Saturday when I saw you at Activate that we've been talking about 5, 6, 7 years ago. Let's go ahead and kick off White Night Lights. Tell me what that would be like for Central. Or Kristen's shaking her head. Have you been to White Night Lights in Baton Rouge, Kristen?
Yes, I have.
Tell me how that would work in Central.
I think it would be more or less like an extension of the Shop the Square event that we're already doing. I mean, we haven't, obviously it's a little ways away. It would be in December. Is that what we said? Would it be November, December?
Yes.
Probably, I think we're thinking December, like maybe the second weekend in December. And it would be more or less like the Shop the Square event, except for that we would have the white lights and it would be, you know, kind of more decorated like Christmas. That's right now what we're thinking, because as Ron said, you know, we're all volunteer. So we're trying to think of what would the easiest way to do that in Central. And then on top of that, we don't have a downtown district. It would be lovely if we did, but we don't. So we don't have an area in Central where we could just say, hey, all of you businesses set up and people are just going to walk from business to business and everybody get equal exposure. So it'll just have to be more of the tents like they do at White Night Lights and not as many of the actual brick and mortar locations. And, you know, the tents will set up, we'll have the lights, the white lights decorating all around and you would shop, you know, but it would be a nighttime situation, you know. And this one we're about to do on May 22nd, it could be similar to that, and that we end with, you know, live music and fun activities for the kids and stuff like that.
And one of the other aspects that we were thinking about possibly is even, and I don't know what the availability to do that would be, maybe like a wine and cheese deal, and even have some art folks coming out with their art displays and so forth to add just a little bit of a different feel to that night as well. Yeah. So we'll see where that goes, but we're really excited about the prospect of that happening. And it would be at the square, and we'd have as many lights as we could get out, and should be a good time.
I think I'd like to just say one more thing about that. It would be really nice if we could put a little bit more focus on the handmade artisans and have more of the handmaids and homemades, like he said, the fine art and stuff like that. That's what makes White Night Lights so interesting and different, is that you've got all of these artists from all different backgrounds and different areas of our city that kind of come together. And so you're able to get some really unique gifts for Christmas. And I think that's something that we could also put our focus in on, is not as much, you know, still have our retail businesses that are, you know, tried and true and out here in Central, but also try and kind of focus in on some of the handmaids and homemades kind of artists and crafters and stuff like that too.
Well, as much as the Chamber does for Central, let me let you put in a shameless plug as to how do you contact the Chamber, become a member, or support the organization?
All right, we are located here on Hooper Road, 12416. You can stop by the office any day, usually between 9 and 3. Or you can reach us at the Central Chamber email, and it'll be City of Central Chamber at cityofcentralchamber.com or broron@cityofcentralchamber.com. Or you can go to our website, www.cityofcentralchamber.com, and there's a membership, join the membership tab on that page. And we consider ourselves still one of the best deals going when it comes to promoting business. You know, there's certain professional business organizations that require folks to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. We allow folks to come in at entry level of just $200 for a smaller business, which becomes very economical for them as well. And we do everything we can. And our main role is to, as I said, support business and community, but to become help them build their customer base. We want to be their customer support people.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're about out of time. This is the Go Central Show every Monday night at 8 o'clock. Tune in next week for another episode celebrating all the great things in Central. Ron, thanks so much for coming and representing the Chamber. And Kristen, hopefully see you next week. And Kristen's also a Chamber member board, so I asked her to put on her Chamber hat tonight in addition to co-hosting. So join us on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or on the GoCentral.com website. And Ron, thanks again. And
Appreciate it.
Any last comments?
Well, thanks for having us on. We're looking forward to some great future for our central businesses. And I think we're just moving forward and there's no place to go but up.
Oh, I want to say one more thing. You asked about us going to Orlando last weekend, and I didn't even say we took second place in nationals. So Central High School varsity here took second place.
I opened the door and you didn't say anything. I thought, oh man, maybe they didn't do well. So I'm not going to push this one.
No, we did. I was not ready for the question. Sorry.
All I can do is open the door. You got to walk through it, girl.
I know.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Gordy, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Gordy. Bye, guys.
Good night.
Bye.